Are you looking to try your hand at camping, but you're just not quite sure how you can fit all of the expenses of getting all of the gear into your small budget? Then this video is for you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, my name is Ebony, aka Mad Girl Motor Adventures, and in today's video I will be giving you my tips and tricks for how to camp on a small budget. Before you run out and go buy some camping gear, first you need to work out what type of camper are you. Are you just going to be a weekend camper? Are you going to go for multiple nights, a week, 2 weeks? Also, what season are you camping in? Are you just going to be a nice summer camper, or are you going to do what I'm doing and camp in winter? Once you have worked out what type of camper you are, that will determine what gear you need. So, my first piece of advice is create a checklist. Now that you know what type of camper you are, you need to create a checklist. So you want to break that checklist down into your essentials versus your luxury extras. So your essentials being, you need some cover. So you need a tent or a hammock or a swag. You also need a mattress, a pillow, a sleeping bag. And then you've got your cooking. So your food, you need something to cook with, you know, a stove, some cookware, cutlery, all of that sort of stuff. And then you go from there, and then you work out your clothes and your luggage, all of that sort of stuff. Now, if you're like me and you go motorcycle camping, then you are obviously going to be limited on what you can fit on your bike. Now, I'll show you a picture of my bike. I'm currently on tour at the moment. And let's be honest, I've packed a lot. I've packed basically my entire house, everything but the kitchen sink. And I had considered buying a collapsible kitchen sink, but I refrained because I couldn't fit it on my bike. But anyway, I didn't have any of that stuff really to start with. I only had a couple of those items. And then over time, I've slowly, gradually upgraded everything. But when I first started, I had the bare minimum. I had the cheapest of everything, bare minimum, and you know what? I still had a great time. So, once you have your checklist, you now know what items that you need. So, my next piece of advice is to plan in advance. So, by planning in advance, you will actually allow yourself to just expand your budget just that little bit more. Ideally, you want to spend the most money on your essential items. So the more money you can spend on your tent, the better quality the tent that you're going to get, especially if you are going to be camping in all seasons, all kinds of weather. Then you want a decent tent. You want a tent that's going to hold up. My tent that I got is the Denali Kakadu hiker's tent. And that was from Anaconda. Pretty much everything that I brought for my camping is all from Anaconda, so it's my one-stop shop. That tent only cost me $99. Now, it is a small tent, it's just a 2-person tent, but really it just fits me and my luggage barely. There's not a lot of room, there's no room for, you know, a little extra shade in case it's raining. But it does the job. It is waterproof, it does hold up. I've tested that out at the Grampians, and that was only $99. So like I said, you want to with your budget, you want to put more towards your most expensive items, and then all your other little items, you can sort of gradually decrease what you're going to spend across that. So planning in advance allows you to expand your budget over time. It means that you're not rushing out to buy everything at once, which can be quite costly, and to be honest, there's no way I could afford to do that. So my advice is to buy things over time, you know, start with your tent, buy that, pay that off, you know, save up for the next thing as you go and buy that. And over time, you'll gradually increase everything and get everything you need for camping, but also it allows you to get the slightly better quality stuff as well, which for cookware, I do recommend just spending that a little bit extra and get something decent. I've got a little stove. It just goes on like your little what do you call it, fuel canister, and you put your pots and pans on there. It's super easy to use, cooks your food really well, cooks your food really quick, and it's reliable, it works. When I first started, and I do have it with me as a backup, I just had one of those little ones that you get in the army, that little fold out tin, put some firelighters in there, that's it, that's your stove, you know, you just put your pot on there. And my cookware was just some cheap aluminium. You can get that, but I don't recommend it. It doesn't hold up well in the heat. It is more like a one-time use sort of item. You will not get use out of it. So that's why I do recommend, if you can, plan in advance, spend that little bit more on your cookware at least, and that way you're going to get more use out. You will get further use out of it. So part of budgeting too is, it can be costly at the start, obviously, especially if you have nothing, it can be costly. But as I said, if you do buy things over time, gradually, you can get yourself better stuff, which means that you're not having to go rush out like I did and upgrade your equipment after first use. That's costly. My next piece of advice is to location plan. So for me, the idea of camping is just to sit, relax, just get out of nature, just get away from work, away from home. You're just sitting there, relaxing, having a lovely time. There's no rush, there's no need to get out and just be hustle and bustle, you know. Not everyone's like that. So for some people, camping is just a cheaper option for accommodation, which again is what I opted for a few times on my trip. But it's the cows in the corner there. But if you location plan, you just want a nice time relaxing away, go find places. So I use the High Camp app. This app, yes, it is paid accommodation for a lot of the tent sites, but a lot of them, it's really not that much. Like, I don't know, like some of them probably like $20, $30 a night, or for a couple of nights. For camping, that is expensive, especially if you're like a free camper. But these places that I've specifically chosen, I chose for the location because a lot of them come with lovely extras, like you might get a farm tour, you might get a veggie box, there's all sorts of things that can come with it, plus the location surrounding it. There's been a couple where, you know, I stayed at the Grampians. You got the walking trails, you got the mountains to go climb, beautiful roads, beautiful surrounding places. There's some cultural sites around as well, just things like that. So if you plan around the location that you're going to be staying in, that will also save you a lot of money as well, because you know, you don't have to cheap out on just tenting just so you can go do, I don't know, Dreamworld or something. Like, it's not the point of camping. My next tip is to look around for where you're going to get your camping stuff. So, you know, you've got online options, you've got, like I do, Anaconda. Everything at Anaconda has literally everything. It's a good range from, you know, your inexpensive to your slightly better range of equipment. You've got Kmart's, Amazon, all of those places. My other option too is go hit your friends and family up. I'm sure you will know someone who has some camping gear that you can borrow. So if you can borrow a tent or borrow a camp chair or all of that stuff, that will also save you some money. especially if it's your first time camping. You're not quite sure, if you're going to want to continue to do this. So if you don't want to risk spending the money on this equipment that you're not going to use again in the future, I promise you though, that won't happen. You will use it again in the future because it's just the best. But if you don't want that risk, then yeah, go hit your friends and family up. Just ask to borrow some of their equipment as well. So that will also really help you with budgeting for your trip. So that's pretty much all my tips and tricks for camping on a small budget. There really is not much to it. It is very easy to do. So just to recap, first thing you do is work out what type of camper you are. Create your camp checklist, so breaking it down into your essentials versus your luxury extras. Expand your budget across each item. So obviously you want your essential items to have a higher budget and then lower it from there. Then the next thing is to plan in advance. So start purchasing your items over time, and that will allow you to expand your budget just that little bit more. Next thing is location planning. So plan your campsite around locations such as national parks, maybe little farm stays. Use a HiCamp app to help you find those locations as well. It doesn't have to be far from home, because the further you go, the more petrol you have to spend, which means even more expense. So plan it just close to home. Nice little farm stay, a little getaway. My closest one to home was about half an hour away from home, but you know what, it was perfect. It was still the perfect little getaway and a great time. And then finally, shop around. So look online, look at Anaconda, Kmart, Amazon, eBay, and also hit your friends and family up. Borrow as much camping gear as you can, because that will save you money in the long run as well. So those are my tips and tricks for camping on a small budget. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below some of your best tips and tricks for camping on a small budget, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Taking a chance.